Golf is a humbling game. No one knows that better than Mitchell and I from this past weekend at the Cottonwood Classic at Inverness. We got severely humbled by our own lack of skill, rather. Not even skill, lack of fight, and just not a good weekend for us. But that's okay because that's golf and that's how it goes. We're also going to talk about Jackson Koivun, who had all the luck in the world apparently on his end and all the skill as well to get his maiden voyage win on the PGA Tour. Michael Kim shot 59. Live Golf is if it's standing on its last leg, that last leg has been cut in half because there is not much left. The U.S. Junior Amateur, an insane weekend of golf for all of those guys and some insane stories to come out of that. Plus, as always on Monday, it's a Mulligan Monday. All right, let's tee it up. Big Drive Energy Monday. It's been a full week since we talked to y'all. No pod on Wednesday. We were too busy getting hyped up in our practice round for this member guest that we would then go shit ourselves on. But it was fun, and it was a good time just hanging out with the Brody as it always is, because we don't get to see each other all that much in person anymore. So playing golf 4 days in a row together was a blast. And I enjoyed it, even though we didn't play our best. But that's why they call it golf, because all the other 4-letter words were already taken.
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably got kind of sick of me at some point throughout the weekend. We probably got a little sick of each other. And we do this thing where when it's hard because being brothers and playing in tournaments together, you treat your brother differently than you would treat just a friend that's playing in it with you. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to berate them. You're not going to motherfuck them. You're just going to be like, you know what, man, we tried our best. Didn't work out. You might talk a little shit behind their back or say they didn't play good. But you and I, we just throw it right at each other directly the time of. And I got to be honest, I didn't play great. Credit to you. You almost played so good that it was hard for me to play good. And then when you needed me to play good, I just didn't. So I didn't really get in a groove at any point. I was not very clutch. I had been putting it really well recently. And then the putter kind of went out the window, mostly because you were putting so well the first day that I didn't have to make anything. So then, yeah. That's mean, Jeff. I don't look that bad. No, I never bring a razor to Colorado. Like, it's stupid, but I trim my face and then I let it go depending on how long we're here. If we're here for more than a month, then I'll bring a razor. But other than that, I end up looking a little disheveled by the end of it. But yeah, dude, credit to you. Long story short, you played pretty damn good. And then the last 2 days, I mean, I would say I hit the driver really well, and the approach game was just not good enough to really hit it close to make a bunch of birdies because the pins were in some really tough spots. It was just a tough event. And I mean, the guys who won fucking played like the tournament of their lives. Do you know what handicaps they were? Were they like 3 and 4 handicaps?
A 1 was a 1 and 1 was a 3. And I'll give you guys a little bit of insider knowledge or basically, you know, what happened to us. We go into the last day, and it's a Stableford points scoring system, and we're, I think, 9 points out of first place, which would mean 3 birdies more and all the other holes the same as the group in first place to be able to get into a tie for first. So we're already pretty behind, but we're only like 2 points out of second place. 2nd through 7th, 8th, 9th was all pretty crowded together. So we felt like we had a good shot at least taking second. Maybe we do something really special and we get to win the tournament again, go back to back, have the B2B trophies, just own the thing every year. We, 100% win rate every year we play in it, whatever. But the guys behind us, which we started on 2 the last day, the 2 leaders, the 2 teams in the lead started on 1, so they were right behind us all day. I've never seen a fucking collective set of drives better on every, and I think it got in my head a little bit. I really do. And not that we played good enough that day, and I missed, my putter went ice cold on Sunday or Saturday, excuse me. Putter went ice cold. I missed a lot of putts that, looking back on, if I make all of those, and I'm not talking 12 footers, 15 footers, I'm talking 3 footers, 4 footers, 5 footers for par. If I make all of those, we probably finish really close to the lead, but still don't win. And I think I just got mind fucked by these guys driving it in absurd spots. And so for those of you guys that also don't know Inverness or have never played the golf course that I'm a member at in Colorado, it's a golf course where if you are playing by yourself on your own ball, you're not hitting a ton of drivers. Even you, who's a self-proclaimed shorter hitter, which you technically, I guess, are for compared to the other scratch golfers out there, right? Or +1 handicaps. And you don't hit a lot of driver. It's not beneficial for you to do on an individual ball perspective. But the last day, even though it was a alternate shot, it was greensome. So you both hit a tee shot and then alternate from the best one. So kind of a scramble off the tee, which allows these fucking mutants behind us to open up driver and have flip wedges into 90% of the holes. Not even flip wedges sometimes. It was just a fucking pure chip. If I would have put us with my driver in some of those same positions, we would have shot 5 or 6 under that last day, because you would have been chipping it to 4 or 5 feet like you did on the par 5 on 16 and give us some good wedge shots. That was an 80-yard shot that you hit to like 6 feet, and I didn't miss it. Shout out to me, or probably 3 feet, actually. It was so close.
I was going to say it was not 6, because otherwise you would have missed it.
It was so close I couldn't have missed it, really. But yeah, these fucking guys behind us, they absolutely collapsed my mentals by just driving it up our ass all day. And I'm looking, because the first few holes I'm looking back like, all right, well, let's see if we can see these guys in trouble. Let's see if we can snag. We birdied the first hole on Saturday, and I feel really good about where we were at. And then I'm just getting pelted up the ass with these drives, thinking, holy shit, we got no shot.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, I think you and I have been in agreement on this, but we would like to see, and I don't think it's going to change, and it is what it is, but we would like to see the first flight be a gross only from the blue tees, because we're playing the white tees like 6,600 yards at elevation, which is probably around 6,000 yards at sea level, which is it's a virtual, for these dudes hitting it 340, 350. It's a fucking pitch and putt. Like, that's what they turned it into. They just turned it into a massive pitch and putt. And you do have to be accurate. Like 17, there's about a 10-yard wide bottleneck with water on the left and then fucking road on the right. Like, you have to hit the perfect tee shot. And I think 3 of 4 balls were like 10 yards short of the green. I'm like, did these motherfuckers drive their cart up here and drop them there? How are you hitting driver that? Like, they were hitting like tour level tee shots. So you just got to like tip your cap to him. But at the same time, even when we won it last year, I would still prefer to play gross and the back tees, even though I'm not a long hitter, because it is somewhat of an equalizer. Like, when you're playing a shorter course, it obviously gives the advantage to the longer hitters. A longer hitter, I guess, has an advantage no matter what, if it's a longer course, shorter course, but it definitely isn't as easy to make a shitload of birdies when you're not driving it 30 or 40 yards from a lot of the par 4 greens. And the greens were slick. So like, either way, you got to play good golf, but the credit to those guys, they played their asses off. I wanted to wait for this to kind of address this on the podcast. And then you can air any grievances you have with me as well. And this is probably a grievance you had of mine. So the last day we started on number 2, which is a par 5. And you can't hit driver. I hit 3-wood perfectly right in the middle of the fairway. It's about a 490-yard hole.
Yeah.
I had a perfect 3-wood. We had like 225 in. 225. And the pin's front left. You can't, it's just a tough pin. Like, long right is okay. but you were just in love with hitting 6-iron. And I'm like, please hit 5-iron. Like, because short of the green's tough too. It's an uphill shot, like 40 yards to a very tucked front pin, which I didn't think I'd be able to get close. So you hit 5-iron, and I can already tell you're pre-blaming me before you even hit the shot. Like, you're just ready to fucking fire at me how I'm wrong. You land it pin high, maybe 10 feet left of the hole, which happens to be like on the fringe, and it scoots like 3 feet off into the rough. We're about 15 feet from the hole. Tough chip downhill, but you just go in on me about how it was a 6-iron all day and don't fucking tell me what club to hit. And I'm like, bro, you literally hit it pin high. I told you to hit it right. You hit it left. Like, and I get it. It's a 5-iron. You're not super, it's not like, no matter what distance it is, it's hard to hit the correct side of the flag. But you hit a fucking perfect 5-iron that landed in the perfect spot. And it did leave me with a hard chip. I left you about 7 or 8 feet for birdie, and you ended up banging in the birdie. But we just had a lot of tension from right off the bat. And I'm like, we don't need to be this worked up about making a birdie on the first fucking hole. So then from there, we kind of chilled a little bit. But that was my main gripe with you. And then I think we haven't even said this. We 3-putted 5 of the last 9 holes in alternate shot.
I think 7, 5 of the last 7 holes.
Okay.
Starting at 13, we 3-putted 13, we 3-putted 14.
Well, we 3-putted 11.
We 3-putted 11, 13, 14,
15.
17. Oh, 15. No, the par 3 we didn't. Oh, yes, we did. Yeah, I fucking missed it. I puked on one. Yeah, so yeah, we 3-putted like 5 holes and a 7-hole stretch. It was a disaster. And it was, the funny part is both, there was some fuck ups on my end because I was always the second putter. There was some that I should have made that I didn't. And then there was
the one on 12, I just blew like 10 feet by. I was like,
I just 13. But yes.
Oh,
yeah,
yes. I'm sorry, 13.
Dog fucked that thing. And going back to
but then
number 2,
but then there's a couple putts. I feel like once you missed 1 6-footer, I was like, oh fuck, here we go.
Yeah, and that's accurate because the first 2 days I didn't miss really anything that I should have.
You were making more 30-footers than you were missing like fucking 4-footers. I was like,
yeah,
this guy's making it rain from everywhere.
I was cooking with the putter. But going back to your stance on number 2, I was a little annoyed with you, yes, and I shouldn't have lashed out. I apologize for that after some reflecting. But I think the thing that I was pissed about in general was I didn't want to hit 5-iron because I didn't want to be in that exact spot, either the bunker or that chipping spot, because even though you're a great chipper, that's a tough shot. And then I was already pissed and I let you have it. But then you dog fucked to the chip, and I was like, that is exactly why I didn't want to be there. That thing almost didn't make it on the green. Don't act like that was a decent chip.
It was not, but it was not a great lie, and I think I had to land it kind of into the grain.
It was a tough chip. That's why I didn't want the ball to be there. That's why I was so worked up.
Yes, but you got to play the numbers where if you hit it short left, if you hit it on that same line with 6-iron, we're short left of the green. I have
we're probably in the front bunker. Probably in the front bunker.
Even then, that bunker shot's really hard to get close. Like at the end of the day, we had an 8-footer and you banged it in. Like I know that it didn't look that pretty, and you were just fucking pissed off at me, and the chip was not great. I agree, but at the end of the day, I have never met anyone that could walk off with birdie and still be pissed at their partner and like angry. You just get this thing in your craw and then you would hit a bad putt, and then it is somehow my fault. Like you were like, dude, if you wouldn't have fucking said this, or I'm like, I didn't hit the putt for you. And I told you, you played better than I did. I did not play great. I had plenty of like negative self-talk going on. And then you're MFing me, and I'm like, I'm just getting it from all angles. And so I understand, but I think ultimately what our issue was I didn't get comfortable and like going early enough, because you were playing so well that when it started to like kind of revert back to the mean for you, I was like nowhere to be found. And that was really like, I didn't step up. And so that was on me. But once we 3-putted that one hole, it was just fucking 3-whack after 3-whack. I don't know how many, I'm sure there's PGA Tour players that haven't 3-putted that much in a fucking season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was pretty entertaining. But
and it was both of us just like kind of fucking each other. Like we didn't intentionally, and it wasn't so bad where it was like somebody hits a god awful shot that puts somebody in a like a chipping position from under a tree. But like 14, the par four, the last day was a perfect example of just how we screwed each other. You hit a great drive. I thin one. I think I have a perfect yardage. I thin it over the green. I leave you like 50 feet. Should have never left you 50 feet. Then you don't hit the first putt close enough. So you leave me with too big of a tester that I also missed. So we were just like handing each other back and forth, just bad. Not like terrible. Like if one of us makes it through that, we're doing okay. But neither of us could put a shot together to back up the other person's shitty shot right before.
Neither of us could pick each other up. We one shitty shot would then just derail the entire hole, and that
yes,
yeah,
we were just on a bogey train for a while.
My speed on the greens was like the reason we 3-putted 13 and then 14 is I hit the one on 13 about 8 to 10 feet by, and then on 15 or 14 I hit it 6 feet short. And granted, that was a tough fucking putt that looked like it was straight down the hill. Also, I just gotta speak on this green reading book that we use because it gave me a couple of dog shit reads, and I think I'm about done using that green. Like I never really used a green reading book, and I probably leaned on it a little too much because those greens are just so hard to read, and there's so many subtle little breaks, and it felt like the green reading book did not have those little subtle breaks in there. It had more of like the general movement of the green, but then I was hitting some putts that I was like, in no way should it go in this direction, and then it does. So that's probably enough hemming and hawing about our golf game. But ultimately,
I do want to start it out with like we obviously didn't play as well as we did last year. Number one of the cool parts about this year, even though we got throttled, was there was a lot more players with handicaps a lot closer to ours. I think last year the closest combined was an 8 or a 9 in the first flight when we were a combined 0. This year there was a bunch of 3s, 4s, 5s teams combined that were closer to our handicap. So even though the result didn't end up the way we wanted, I think that was better in terms of the group of players we were playing against and how it shook out that way. I feel better about where that was. And number two, I think one of the really sad parts about how the week ended up was the fact that last year we started off like complete dog shit. We were mother at fucking each other. First 9 holes in the scramble, I think we were 1 under par. Just completely couldn't get anything going. This year, we birdie the first 2 holes we start out with.
I think we're 5 under through 7.
5 under through 7. You make a great putt on the first hole. I make a good putt on the second hole. We make 2 back-to-back birdies. We're like, oh yeah, this is fucking golf's easy. We'll fucking boat race this field again. And then from there on out, I think, we were 5 under through, and granted the scramble is the easiest part, but 5 under through our first 7. And I think we finished the tournament at 5 under-ish, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were
9. We were 9 the first day.
We ended up 11 under after 2 days, and then we probably shot like 4 or 5 over the last day.
Yeah, so like literally after those first 7 holes, it was just a bunch of fucking level par bullshit for us. Not great. Not great, Bob.
No, and my last thing I want to say is I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get back to like yardages at altitude. Like the altitude yardages still have me in a fucking blender. I hit 7 iron at one point close to 200 yards, which is just not my game. Like that's just fucking not me.
Not in my playbook.
Maybe at altitude it should go about 185, but then you get these jumpers that just go, it feels like fucking forever. And so yeah, there were so many times where I just did not feel super confident standing over a ball because I didn't know if it was going to end up. I've never flown it over so many holes before. You know, generally it's like you come up short. That's typically how it goes. But I'm like trying to get the ball to the hole, and it's just airmailing the fucking green. And then I'm looking around like, what did I just do? So it's one of those where it's maybe I should have done this, and I thought about it. I should have gotten on the TrackMan before and turned the altitude up and just hit balls at that altitude just to get some actual legit numbers. That probably would have been a good plan on my part that I failed to do because I remember being at Golf Republic and being like, can I change the altitude on the range? And I was like, oh, fuck it. I'm already in here. I'm just going to hit balls, and like should have done that. So, yeah, there's always next year, man. But ultimately, we're not going to win it every year. Like, there's good golfers out there. And the fact that we won it the first year we played kind of gave us this expectation of, oh, we're just going to win this thing every year. So I think we'll play probably a little more loose next year, just knowing that there's good players out there and we got to play good golf. And if we don't, we're not going to win. But ultimately, it's bro time. It was a good time with the boys. So, and I last thing.
Last thing.
I think I got a little too sauced towards the end of the first round. I think we lost a little momentum because I was a little drunk and the eyes started to cross a little when I was putting. I was like, I was seeing the putter really well, like the first 9, 12 holes. And then the last 6, I was like, I can't find my ass with both hands in a search party right now. So then I really didn't pick you up there. And then I was kind of hungover and yada, yada. I don't know, man, those late. So we teed off at 1:30 the first 2 days and then 8 a.m. the last day. And those late tee times are great, but then they just kind of give you a free pass to like, oh yeah, I can get fucked up tonight and then just sleep in tomorrow and kind of sleep it off. But you ultimately still don't feel great no matter how late you sleep in. So it's like, maybe next year I try to keep it a little bit more on the even keel for the first few days and see how we play and then go from there. So
I like that. Well, yes, there's always next year. We'll be back. We'll be back and better than ever next year. I'll get a little more practice in. You get those, maybe come out a week before instead of staying after and get some serious range time in, some TrackMan time, whatever it takes. But
yeah,
we'll be back next year. Let's talk about some actual good golf. And honestly, we'll start with the 3M championship. So Jackson Koivun wins his first PGA Tour event, first of many for this kid. And as you saw in the thumbnail of this YouTube show, if you're watching YouTube, he's a star. He's a future star. And there's so many different ways we can go with this. I have a few stats I want to release or things that I've seen on Twitter. I'll start with this one.
them.
His last 21 holes of this 3M, which, by the way, I wanted to say this earlier, just a minute ago, but I didn't. For being a basically throwaway golf tournament, this turned into an incredible event. Every year they go to Minnesota, everybody's like, this is shit, whatever. Nobody really likes this event. It's right after some majors. The playoffs are coming up. Nobody cares, right? That's kind of how everybody feels about the
It's
Rocket
the look
Mortgage
over
this
week.
weekend.
It's the what's that called?
What is that? The football term.
Yes, that's what I'm.
You're that's
the trap game.
The trap game, yes.
Yes.
It's a trap game for the PGA Tour. And I think Scotty Scheffler showing up and playing changed a little bit of the feel of it for sure, which was awesome to see after him coming home from, Europe and 2 weeks away and then coming home and playing in this.
What a slap in the face for him, by the way. He's like, I just need to go get a W. I just need to get one under my belt.
Yeah.
And then 21-year-old Jackson Koivun just flops his hog on the table. He's like, you thought you were going to beat me. And I mean, that's now Scotty's 5th runner-up finish this season. But let's hear those stats you got.
So 21 for 21. This is his last 21 holes of the event. 21 for 21 in greens and regulation. 11 approach shots inside of 15 feet. So more than half hitting inside of 15 feet. And he was 12 under par in his last 21 holes. And that is, mind you, on Sunday with Scotty Scheffler, the number 1 golfer in the world, chasing him and shooting the lowest cumulative score over 72 holes that's ever been shot at the 3M too. So, obviously not big fields, not a ton of highly ranked players that go and play.
You can't forget Brian Harmon was chasing him as well.
Brian Harmon chasing him down. Great flip off of the camera. If anybody didn't see that, gave Scotty a good laugh. But yeah, I mean, Jackson Koivun coming fresh out of college, just a guy that is, the next Scotty. And I this is something I wanted to talk to you about. Are we at the point now? We'll still focus on Jackson Koivun. You can just give me a kind of short-winded answer if you know what that is on this. Is golf to a point now, PGA Tour golf, where a guy like Jackson Koivun or Ludwig Aubert is kind of the darling? Somebody comes up and starts playing really well and wins on the PGA Tour. are we at a point where we start saying it's the next Scotty, or is it still the next Tiger? And when we say the next Tiger, everybody knows that no one will ever be Tiger again. But realistically, and even Scotty might get to a level in terms of being the number one player for X amount of time and all this stuff. Like, he's still got a long ways to go to get to Tiger. But is saying the next Scotty something that is becoming part of the PGA Tour thread?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in my mind, I look at it as like, if you're the next Scotty, you're just really, really solid, like all around. Obviously, Scotty is great, but even Scotty's bad is good. And I mean, same with Tiger. But I just don't see, like, in my opinion, and we can, clip this and hunt it down at some point in a couple years, but I don't think Jackson Koivun's like a superstar. I think he's very good, but I mean, first of all, his golf swing leaves a lot to be desired in the terms of durability and consistency. And I won't get into the technicalities of that, but you see him swing driver. He looks like Joaquin Neiman. His fucking shoulders are tilted basically at a 90-degree angle towards the ground. He's got a lot of that trail side bend. And he does everything very good, but I don't know if he's elite at anything. And I guess time will tell. But Scotty is an elite iron player. Like, he hits it within his number. We've talked about this multiple times, but it feels like he hits his number almost every time. And he struggled a little bit off the tee or whatever, but his iron game is elite. Like, I would take him over just about anybody with the irons and wedges right now on the PGA Tour. And I just, from an eye test perspective, like, I'm just fucking sitting here as a podcaster that has played some decent golf, nowhere near what Jackson Koivun has played already in his fucking short life at this point. But I just don't get that superstar vibe from him. Like, yeah, can he win like once or twice a year? Yes, but I don't think he's gonna like dominate the PGA Tour. Like, look at Blades Brown already. He's 2 years younger than Koivun, didn't even play college golf. Like, and he hasn't really gotten close to winning yet, but there's so many of these dudes that I think it's really going to be hard to dominate. Like, there's obviously levels to it, and there's the 0.1% of the 0.1% and yada yada and so on. But to really like set yourself apart, I just don't see Koivun having like the physical skill set to do that. Like, he's not a big dude. And when's the last time you saw like a small guy be an elite? Like, probably Luke Donald was the last number one in the world that was like a smaller guy. But other than that, it just feels like you have to be like the physical, and he's don't get me wrong, he's in great shape. But he's not like, his ball speed is topping out probably in the 180 range, which is great, but that's not special. That's not, I mean, fucking Jake Knapp's hitting at 192 ball speed, 194. And like, over the years, that's going to be tough to compete with when you're hitting it, 300, 305, and these guys are hitting it 325, 330. Not to say that it can't be done, but long story short, you asked a short answer, or for a short answer, and I gave you a long-winded question. I just don't think he's like a superstar, but obviously time will tell.
Okay. So this is a great quote this is out of an article or newsletter by Joseph LaMagna, and Friday Golf tweeted it. I'm going to read it all. Don't fucking judge me. Hopefully I don't have a seizure reading
I'll
this.
try not to fall asleep.
No, fucking lock in, because it's kind of what you just said. But this is a great point from a professional writer in the game of golf. Over the next 12 to 24 months, Koivun could very well burn the golf world down. He could win a major next year and become the youngest champion since Jordan Spieth won the 2015 Masters at 21. Or he could go through the natural growing pains that every golfer encounters in their professional career and find the path to the top might be more difficult than it seemed on Sunday afternoon. Given his pedigree and the display he put on in Minnesota this weekend, it's reasonable to say that Jackson Koivun is the best prospect we've seen in at least a decade. It was true before this weekend, and it's only more apparent now. Where he goes from here remains to be seen. He deserves patience as he makes his way through the professional ranks, but there's no doubt Jackson Koivun has all the ingredients of a future superstar. If this weekend is any indication, that future may arrive sooner than expected. And it was great because you saw, if anybody caught the end of the Sunday's round yesterday, he hit 6 inches behind the ball on his tee shot on the 72nd hole. ends up still making par, a messy par, but he, knocks one in from probably 14, 15 feet to make the par putt and shoot the lowest cumulative round ever at the 3M. But he hit like 6 inches behind the ball and hit the shortest drive at 249 that anybody's hit all week on the 18th hole. So a little bit of nerves there, but I think I'm too early to call him a superstar. Like you've been seeing, we'll talk about this a little bit in a second, but I saw some Tom Kim comparisons that Tom Kim was already had won 3 times by the time he was Jackson Koivun's age. So you've got comparisons on that end. I think one of the things that really solidified it for me in terms of leaning towards superstar rather than not, and it kind of had nothing to do with him on Sunday, but the fact that the guy, Scotty Scheffler, was the one that was like right up his ass. And Scotty missed a few putts that could have made it closer. But when you're looking up that leaderboard, which he inevitably was doing all day on Sunday, and you see the guy that's the best golfer in the world head and shoulders above everybody else right on your tail, and you don't fold. I mean, how many folds have we seen this year? It's almost like every tournament there's a guy that's leading. Every tournament we see the guys has a 5-shot lead going into Sunday, he folds. And Jackson didn't, which is impressive, along with the fact that Scotty Scheffler was the guy chasing him. But one more thing I want to get into with Jackson Koivun and a lot of the rhetoric around him today. I said rhetoric in my head, and then I said rhetoric out loud, and then I was like, that's not right.
Rhetoric. Yep.
Is people are already saying that he should be on the President's Cup team.
Yeah, I was going to go with that. I think that's stupid. I think that's jumping the shark completely. He played in a PGA Tour event like 2 weeks ago and missed the cut. And now he turns around and has a great week and wins. But what? One win? Does that mean Brian Campbell should have automatically been on the team last year when he won twice? Who else has won one time and disappeared? And I'm not saying obviously Jackson Koivun's a different breed, but you cannot tell. Chris Gotterup didn't even make the Ryder Cup last year, and he's got fucking 5 wins on tour now. Like in the last 2 years, people are getting so outrageous with this shit. They're so quick to want to graduate these guys. And I was about to say as well, I almost think Jackson Koivun would have been better off not winning this week. Obviously it's awesome to win early, but now the pressure that's going to be put on him and the spotlight that he's going to be in is going to be that much bigger. Having won so early, the expectations are going to be through the roof. Everyone's going to be betting on him. Everyone's going to be commenting on his Instagram. Oh, you fucking suck. You didn't top 10 this week, blah, blah, blah. Like he's now going to be dealing with that type of thing where it's totally different than just playing golf with your boys at Auburn, which obviously he realizes he just won on the fucking PGA Tour. I'm not telling it. I don't think he's an idiot, but it's just levels to the PGA Tour stardom. And I don't know if he's ready for it. Once again, time will tell. It's very easy to say one thing or another right now, but I ultimately think that he's going to be a very, very solid player. I just don't think he's going to be elite in winning a bunch of majors. The swing just looks too consistent. Tell me another guy whose swing looked that different and that out of the norm that has had long-term success on the PGA Tour.
There's not a lot of guys. And the number one comparison he's been getting to a ton this week. I don't know if I've seen as polarizing of a win from a guy as we have in the past couple years, right? Just how everybody's like, oh my God. Some people are like, he's the next fucking Zalatoris. And then some people are like, oh my God, he's the next Scotty Scheffler or the next superstar. It's like he's a polarizing figure, and due to his great amateur career and kind of just joining the PGA Tour and then winning right away. I mean, look at what happened to Nick Dunlap. Won a high profile event as an amateur, not even a pro. And now the guy can't be found on a leaderboard at a fucking Korn Ferry Tour event if he played one,
Yeah.
So
and guess what? What he does really poorly is drives the fucking golf ball very poorly. And that is something that it feels like Jackson Koivun could get off the rails with that swing very quickly. So,
and this is a good point from Greg. Is the President's Cup gets treated as a G League for the Ryder Cup. Maybe you put him out there to see what you got for next year's Ryder Cup. And I think that's an interesting point, because I was just thinking about that. If you have this 21-year-old that's got the experience, you've got a killer that could be on Ryder Cup and President's Cup teams for better part of 2 decades if he continues to play well, right? And that's getting that experience for those young guys can be it's almost an investment in your future of like the President's Cup is walking so that the Ryder Cup can run. I'll go really quick through this. So Brian Kirshner, another writer on Twitter, he said, this is who the President's Cup team should and will be. And this is from today. Scotty Cam, Russell Henley, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Sam Burns, Justin Thomas, Wyndham Clark, Chris Gotterup, Ben Griffin, JJ Spawn, and then the last player is Jackson Koivun. He said the last 2 out would be Akshay Bhatia and Patrick Cantlay. Now, we're not a big Patrick Cantlay podcast. I'm done seeing him in these fucking competitions, personally. I don't think he's earned it. He's been in enough Ryder Cups. He's been in enough President's Cups. I'm kind of over him. Akshay, though, I don't know if I agree with a guy just bursting onto the scene like this and then getting a spot over a guy like Akshay, who's just been nothing but basically, it's hard to say your nails in a PGA Tour career because you're going to miss some cuts. You're not going to win every event. He's got a couple wins over the past couple of years, but like it's kind of insane to think Akshay Bhatia over what he's put in and President's Cup standings go for 2 years, all that he's put in to just be kicked off the team. And granted, not all those guys are not 6 of those guys are going to be captain's picks, right? So obviously Koivun's going to have to be a captain's pick and there's going to be 6 guaranteed, but if it's just over Cantlay, fine, fuck it. I'm sick of that, dude.
Yeah. I mean, if they're going all young, then sure. But if you're leaving off a dude, probably a mid-level, like obviously not mid-level, like a good, not elite dude that's probably in his late 20s, similar who I'm trying to think of what a good example would be player-wise. Like even like Justin Thomas. If you leave Justin Thomas off in favor for Jackson Koivun, I think it's probably a little too early for that, in my opinion. Even though it is like the G League, like Greg said, it's correct. Like you want to see these guys, you want to get them some run. But what if we fucking lose the President's Cup? Like we thought it was low last year getting boat raced at Bethpage. If we lose the President's Cup, what kind of, I mean, Ludwig in Europe, but Ludwig was even a little older when he made his Ryder Cup debut. I feel like morale would be at an all-time low if we somehow lose the President's Cup, and then we're rolling in with like, who are we picking, yada yada. And I think the challenges right now is we've got a lot of guys that feel like they're past their prime, that were elite. And then it's like in high school when you have a really good senior class and then like a really good, freshman class, but the juniors and sophomores both kind of suck. And the freshmen are too young. Like they're going to be really good, but not yet. And then when the seniors leave, they're kind of just throwing these young kids out there. And they're like, well, they're going to be very good because they're getting this experience, but that doesn't mean that they're ready to just jump right into this Thunderdome of international competition. And, it's so hard to put a cap on like what these young kids can do because they're so fucking good. It's like absolutely insane how good these kids are. But I think we got to play for the now. Like it's not the regular season. This is like big international. This is like the Stanley Cup. You're not going to go play a young kid at the Stanley Cup and be like, oh, well, hopefully then we see what we have in him next year. It's like, this is not the time to see what you have in somebody unless he proves himself without a shadow of a doubt the rest of this like PGA Tour season. If he like finishes top 5 in the playoffs or something like that and has a few more really good finishes, then sure. But if he misses a bunch of cuts and has 1 win and they're like, let's just throw him on the President's Cup team, I think that's a bit of jumping the gun here.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. I've got a few other things, unless you have anything else on Jackson Koivun, I've got a few other things I want to get to from the 3M. Number one, let's play this beauty of a video. Lucas Glover taking off his shoes. If you didn't see this, here it is for you all on YouTube. Make sure you like our video. Give us a thumbs up on this. Thumbs up on the video. All right, I'm playing it. Lucas Glover taking off his shoes yesterday.
For birdie. Yeah, it looks like nothing unusual here until... Watch what Lucas does here, Damon. I'll give you the backstory to why this happened. Lucas Glover has been extremely outspoken about his dislike for aim point and how close the players are getting to the hole while they're using this aim point and aim point express. And I guess it just boiled over. Lucas has had enough. He's shoes off, and he's making a point right there. And I, for one, totally agree with him. I don't agree with how close the players are stomping around the hole while aim point's going on.
Okay, so that was the
Turns out that
original
whole commentary was completely wrong.
Yeah, the original misnomer of everybody saying that Lucas Glover had it with aim point. Turns out what actually happened on that day was there was players complaining about Lucas Glover's metal spikes, which is honestly insane that he wears metal spikes. That was one of the first things I learned in golf was no metal spikes were allowed, or they weren't allowed at the course we grew up on, right? That was one of the few signs we ever had out there. And it was like, all right, we have it. You can't just rock out with metal spikes. And then, something became the spikes that you take out of shoes. Those started to go away, and everybody's wearing spikeless spikes, if you will. And Lucas Glover has metal spikes. He was getting complaints that he was making too many marks around the hole. And then he came out with a statement that I won't bore everyone and read it like my full statement earlier, but he was very intentional on saying, you can fix spike marks now. That used to be a rule in golf. You weren't able to fix spike marks. Now you can. But he decided to, in protest after making a birdie, go to the side of the green, not pick his ball out of the hole, take his shoes off, walk to the center of the green, take the ball out of the hole, and then walk off the green holding his FootJoys with his metal spikes.
Well, and the other thing too is that he was not happy about is the fact that an official said something to him instead of a playing partner or whatever. Nobody really wanted to come up and say with their chest to the old wily vet Lucas. Lucas Glover is low key one of the dudes on tour that I feel like could beat the shit out of you. Like, he just looks like that country. He almost looks like a Kevin Costner in Yellowstone type, like the grovelly voice and like don't tread on me type of dude that'll kind of fuck you up if you want to get in his face. But I actually I'm starting to like Lucas Glover even more. He's become more outspoken just about how he feels about shit like this. And yeah, like you said, I did not think that any player, I thought that Tiger was like the last guy wearing metal spikes. And obviously Tiger isn't playing now. And I think he even gave up metal spikes as well. So I didn't really realize there was anybody out there with metal spikes. And he said that there's a dude, a couple groups in front of him with metal spikes as well. And that guy was not mentioned or said anything to by an official. So I feel like he felt like he was a little bit singled out in that situation. And so he just wanted to kind of prove a point. But the whole aim point thing is objectively hilarious. Like, you take your shoes off in protest of aim point, that makes zero sense. So I don't know where they got that from, but
it would have been great. Well, I think it was because he's constantly opposing aim point. It would have been incredible if he would have done it before he hit the putt, done like a fake aim point with his shoes off and just his socks, and then went and hit the putt, made it, and then just continued to walk around. That would have been great.
Is there a rule against like do you have to wear shoes in a golf tournament, or could he like putt barefoot?
That's great. That's a great question. Like, no shoes, no service type of scenario. We should look that up and see if that's actually a rule, because that would be hilarious. If you could just play in your socks or sandals, or, you have to have closed-toed shoes. What is the PGA Tour rule on this? We need to get a rules official in here.
Let's see. No, you cannot play in an official PGA Tour event with no shoes on, because the tour enforces a strict policy, a strict personal appearance and dress code policy. Players must wear professional golf shoes. USGA standing, blah, blah, blah. The only time a professional might briefly remove their shoes during a tournament round is to play a shot out of a shallow water or mud hazard, after which shoes go back on. I was honestly genuinely curious. Like, it's one of those where you're like, can you take your shoes off when you putt? Like, if it just maybe because then you can read the grain with your toes, you can feel the surface underneath your feet. But yeah, okay, now learn something new every day. There's a new rule that we just learned. I wonder if somebody on the PGA Tour talked to him after that, which would be pretty funny. But Lucas is like one of the more respected veterans on tour, I feel like. So I'm sure even the rules official was like, I'm sorry to have to do this, but somebody's bitching a couple groups in front of you, and Lucas just like throws like a mean look over. He's like, who's talking shit about my metal spikes? Like he's gonna go fucking hunt him down in the parking lot.
Yeah, well, another great story to come out of the 3M this past weekend. Twitter's favorite golfer, Michael Kim, shoots a 59, and I don't know if there's ever been a stat that I've been more shocked by, and this could have happened before, ironically. If you're having a really bad putting day in terms of missing your first putt, and I'm sure this stat has actually happened, but in the sense that it was for a 59, I think it's one of the more incredible things I've ever seen. So Michael Kim shot 59 on Friday. He made a 25-footer for the 59 in the last hole, so electric ending to shooting a 59. I think that's now what, the I want to say 16th or 17th 59 on official 59 on the PGA Tour. Also, the best round of golf on tour this year in terms of strokes gained. Did you see that graphic? Can you guess what it was, what his strokes gained were?
Wasn't it like 11 or 12?
10.91.
Okay.
The greatest round of the PGA Tour ever was Mark Calcavecchia in 1997 with 12.29 strokes gained against the field in one round of golf. But the stat that I was talking about was 17 of 17 inside of 20 feet. Now, like I said, can be a little misleading if you have 15 2-footers and make 2 8-footers, not that impressive. But when you shoot 59, they weren't all tap-in pars, obviously. You had to make a birdie. So I think that's one of the more insane stat lines I've ever seen in the golf world.
Yeah, well, and I mean, couple that with the fact that he banged in like a 30-footer on 18 to do it. Like that's,
I said that. You weren't listening to me, but okay.
I'm sorry. I was reading through because this is what I was curious about, because he ended up finishing tied for 10th, but he actually made a little bit of a run there at the end of the back nine yesterday. He was like T24, and I'm like, is this the worst ever finish by a dude that shot 59 in a tournament? But luckily that award goes to Kevin Chappell, who shot 59 in 2019 at the Greenbrier and finished T47. So needless to say, he had a pretty rough week outside of that 59. But yeah, I mean, congrats to Michael Kim. Like, that's unbelievable. Only 23rd time on tour doing it. And then you see all these people on Twitter being like, oh, now we have to hear about Michael Kim's 59 for the rest of our lives. Like, everyone's got such a fucking dump in their pants. I personally think what Michael Kim does on Twitter is awesome. Like, giving people insight into the way he travels, to the way he practices, to the tournaments he's in, to the food that the tournament provides. Like, he gives insight into everything and like how he's hitting it. And he's very real about where he feels like the condition of his game is from week to week. And so, like, yeah, he's going to post about a fucking 59. That's like there's literally 22 other dudes that can say that they've done it in the history of the PGA Tour. So don't, like, everyone doing this whole like shrink this, shrink that, fuck off. It's just
Shrink
a bunch
yourself.
of it's just a bunch of 8 handicaps that started golfing when they were little kids and like act like they own golf now. Like, golf, fuck you. I'm not a huge fan of the whole poo-pooing Michael Kim thing, because I think personally it's awesome. And I mean, unfortunately, he did not end up winning the event by quite a wide margin, but that's something you can talk about for the rest of your life. There's been many elite players that never did that. So
yeah, I think that's one of the more wild things about that 59 stat is you look at the guys on there, and it's not guys that have just racked up a bunch of hardware over their careers in terms of winning tournaments. It's like they had one round where everything went in, or they did everything right, and they shot a fucking 59. We can even do that in a 2-man scramble from 6,400 yards at a course. We know all that well. So that's just how impressive that is. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the 3M. Do you want to hop into a little junior AM final and Miles Russell and some of I think the guy lost to Miles Russell, who eventually lost to Noah McLaughlin, but one guy was 7 under par through 17 holes and was closed out to Miles Russell. Like you mentioned it earlier, the overall talent level of these kids that can barely drive their own vehicle is starting to get silly. And I know I'm biased because I love golf and it's like one of my favorite sports, if not my favorite, just in general to play and to watch. This shit doesn't happen in other sports as consistently as it does in golf. And granted, golf is individual. You don't have a lot of outside, a guy in high school can't necessarily hit 1,000 because he's getting shitty pitches or whatever. Like I think there's a relation to how good these kids are because it's an individualized sport.
Yeah.
But it's unbelievable what these kids do.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Well, yeah. I mean, the most unbelievable part is this this kid who beat him. Is it Kevin McLaughlin?
Noah.
And it's Noah. I'm sorry, Noah. And funny enough, his last name is actually spelled McLauch. So it's McGlock. It's not McGlough. Like it's McLaughlin, spelled that way. So you can't get on me for that. But he beat Miles Russell and he's like a Liberty commit. He's not even a big D1 name. And he actually got into this tournament as an alternate because the other kid that got the last spot then won another event that got him an auto bid. So then it bumped him in and he goes on to win this event as the, you moved my notes here. He was the 2047th ranked amateur golfer in the nation. And he just won the junior amateurs. So I'll be very curious to see what kind of offers this dude starts getting from big D1 schools. Like Liberty can kiss that shit goodbye because he'll be going to an SEC college before you know it. He's going to get some sort of offer here, I'm sure, in the next week or so.
In the world of NIL, that's exactly how it's going to go. 10 years ago before this, it's probably Liberty just fucking maybe liked the coach or the team or whatever. He'd probably still get some late offers. But now you're going to have some booster that's like, nope, I want that. Bring that here. Bring that to this golf team.
Yeah, give me him right there. Like, how does 200 grand sound, kid? I'll be there yesterday. So, but pretty cool to beat Miles Russell, who looks like he's on the fast track to being on the PGA Tour. The crazy part is he's like the 7th ranked amateur in the world, and it feels like he gets more hype than anyone in the amateur realm. Like, I don't really know who's in front of him, but it feels like he gets more hype than anybody when it comes to these high school kids coming out. And he is a straight baller. I mean, he's crazy good. I can't believe he's even going to college at this point after watching what Blades Brown has done, after watching, Tom Kim, Akshay Bhatia. I mean, Koivun went to college, but I guess these kids are just so good that they're like, fuck it. I'll just go to school and make a little bit of money. And then once I get out there, I'm out there. And I don't blame them for it because college golf looks like an absolute blast at a big D1 college where, you literally get the best practice facilities. You play in sick events. You have great mentors to teach you, alumni of the school or whatever. But it very much feels like Miles Russell could easily just turn pro and be on the Korn Ferry Tour next year.
Yeah, exactly. And one more quick shout out before we get to our Mulligan Monday. Carson Lundell from BYU player, won the Colorado Open. Is that still? So Colorado Open got a lot of pub 2 or 3 years ago because they became the first official state open to issue a 6-figure check, correct?
Yeah, it was the largest state open purse in America, and I'm almost positive that it still is. I'd have to look it up again. I know it's not as hyped up anymore, maybe just because it's kind of old news at this point. But yeah, Carson Lundell, he graduated from BYU recently and played his ass off, shot 20 under at Green Valley Ranch, which is not an easy track. Let's see if there's any other names that I recognize on here. Sean O'Hare was playing in the Colorado Open. If you've heard of him before, he won a few times on tour. He finished 5th. Joey Garber is another name that I recognize. AJ Ott has always been a very good Colorado player. He finished 2nd to Carson Lundell. But yeah, BYU actually cranks out some really good college golfers. So Utah's a low-key golf state, which kind of makes Colorado look bad because other than like Wyndham Clark, who didn't even go to Colorado, they crank out some really good good players over there, and we don't have shit. So actually, I take that back. Davis Bryant's CSU might be a better golf program than CU at this point. CSU has got Martin Laird. They've got Davis Bryant. Who's another guy that played it? Like Zakai Brown has won the Colorado Open, like feels like a handful of times. But yeah, that's the scoring was not as low this year. It must have been playing hard because the dude only shot 20 under for 4 rounds. Real challenge out there for him.
Yeah, and there was the Colorado Open is one of those things where it used to be before this massive purse came into effect. It was you're looking up and down the leaderboard and you're seeing a lot of Colorado kids, and now which is already not a state for it, and obviously there's guys that play in as many state opens as their schedule and timing will allow. But you look down the leaderboard, you've got one Colorado kid in the top 5, and then you've got Utah, Oklahoma, Michigan, Texas, Georgia, Florida, another Colorado, Illinois, Nevada, Florida, California, Texas, Tennessee, Louisiana, Hawaii. It's a melting pot of all these people coming to Colorado, which is interesting enough in the fact that when the Blue Championship comes here, and we talked about that a couple weeks ago on the Corn Ferry Tour, and then a couple of years ago having the BMW, it's different than most golf you'll ever play. And I guess some of these smaller tours like the Corn Ferry, they play in Utah and stuff like that. So the altitude is very different, but you dealt with it in a member guest, a slapdick member guest with me. These guys have to really dial it in, and they're not used to playing Colorado yardages, and it really changes your entire game. Obviously, you're bombing driver, but then you're hitting iron shots that are sailing 20 yards further than they would in Hawaii for this kid. And you're like, the fact that they come here and play as well as they do, honestly, does not baffle me, but it impresses me.
Oh, absolutely. And real quick, I just looked up the Colorado Open on Instagram. 3 things. So he won 50 grand. So it's no longer 6 figs. They must have lost a big sponsor or something. Who knows? But they maybe realized that was not sustainable. So he made 50 G's, still fantastic for a state open. But then 2 other things. So they're allowing shorts now at the Colorado Open, which is pretty shocking for professional golfers to wear shorts in a state open, Colorado PGA sanctioned event. But then the other thing, most shocking revelation that I'm realizing is I'm watching a video of Lundell on the final hole of the Colorado Open, and he didn't even have a caddy. He was carrying his own fucking bag for this.
Dude, what a power move.
Yeah, he's just
that is the ultimate power move in professional golf. Is there's those people that, and granted, I'd caddy for you and you don't have the money to pay me what I'm worth for caddying for you. I'd do it as a brother, but that's the ultimate mini tour power move. Or was it?
Why am I giving this dude 10%? I'll just fucking pocket this whole thing for myself.
A couple of years ago when Ricky Fowler carried his own bag for, or maybe it's like the U.S. Open qualifiers where some of these guys will carry their own bag, and you're just like, yeah, and then you go out and win it. That's a power move. He's like, hey, your caddy want to come look at this? Nah, I got it myself. I'll fucking set my stand bag down and knock this in and win this thing.
Yeah, he just gets his rangefinder out, zaps it, rips 3-wood, and just keeps going like it's fucking high school golf.
Yeah,
these dudes are so nonchalant and low key about it anymore. This new crop of kids is just built different. So,
yeah, no doubt. Well, let's wrap this Monday pod up with a little Mulligan Monday. I'll start off this one. This was actually happened to me a little bit ago. I was at a brewery type of place and hanging out, out in the sun, having a good Saturday afternoon, getting kind of a little bit tuned up. And I went to eat a wrap, and I fully bit my finger to the point where my finger was bleeding. And there was a bruise under my fingernail because I bit so hard on my own fucking finger. So Mulligan, I guess I just need to watch where my fingers are when I'm eating, because it was absurd how bad it hurt. And I was like, really, dude? You're going to bite your own finger like that?
Yeah. Do you ever realize how hard you can actually bite until you bite yourself and you're like, Jesus Christ, what is my problem?
Yeah. I'm like, this poor rap was about to get the work from these teeth,
apparently. Mine is also kind of similar. It's an eating thing. The first night after the member guest, I think it was Thursday night, I rolled up to the hotel room. We had taco night. Tacos were good. But I was still a little hungry, and Missy ordered a pizza, actually a couple pizzas.
3 pizzas, more than a couple. I walked in, I knew you guys had talked about the pizza. I came to the room the next day and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you guys have a fucking party in here?
I think there was some deal on, like, if you buy 3 pizzas, it's some, because she got a dessert pizza, a hot honey pizza, hot honey pepperoni, and like a vodka. But she mostly ate just like a few. She had like half of the vodka. They were all like 12-inch pizzas or whatever. And she had like 1 piece of the hot honey pepperoni and the dessert pizza. But I got into that hot honey pepperoni, and I woke up about 3 hours later and I felt nauseous. I was living on the bowl.
Due to our own different circumstances, we were literally texting each other at 3:40 in the morning on Friday morning.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck are you? I was on my phone sitting on the toilet, and I was like, I figured you just texted me like the night before previously, and you texted me like 3 minutes before that. I'm like, what the fuck's he doing? And I'm sure you were not looking for a text back. And then I text you back.
I saw the bubbles pop up. I'm like, something's not right.
Yeah. So let's just say I spent a couple hours of that night. Maybe that was part of my performance. And it's one of those things where it's like, I know I shouldn't do it, but you have a few cocktails, you got a few pops. You're like, fucking piece of pizza sounds great. When has anyone ever turned down a little drunk pizza? So then the heartburn just got me absolutely like in a blender. So that was a mistake on my part. I just need to stay away from that red sauce, the hot honey, the spicy shit. Like, why do you need to make pizza spicy? I'm not a big hot honey guy. So I was all set on that afterwards.
Yeah, that will happen to you. A little late night pizza. It's a good amount, Jeff. We'll talk offline about how much it is. It's a good amount.
It's not a cheap member guest.
It's not a cheap member guest, but I don't know how a lot of other ones run. It is technically 4 days of golf, and you get meals before and after every single round. So I think that's part of it. They do a casino night and all that stuff. So it's not just like play golf and leave or show up and pay for your own food. They also open bar for beer and wine, not liquor. I found that out, paying $16 for a mixed drink on Thursday morning. But yeah, beer and wine were open bar the entire time too. So it's a good amount, but it's definitely worth the price for as much golf as you're getting and as much the other things that they do to make it really cool. My course does a great job. Shout out Inverness, shout out Tommy and Dave. They're the best. We just did not play the best this year. So unfortunately for us, that's how it goes. But we'll be back. We'll be back and we'll be better next year. We appreciate you guys all tuning in to Big Drive Energy on this Monday. We'll be back Wednesday with another episode. We'll talk about the upcoming Rocket. I think it's just Rocket Classic, not Rocket Mortgage anymore. Kind of a fun week on the PGA Classic Tour. The last year of this one, we've started to see some. Did you see I forget what tournament it was? The Travelers got announced as a non-challenger series for the PGA Tour next year. Like, they're already starting to announce which tournaments are going to be in the Premier Series. I already forgot the fucking name for it, but whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we'll discuss on Wednesday.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Drive Energy. Follow us on all the social medias at Big Drive Energy Golf on Instagram, Big Drive Energy on TikTok and X, the Everything app. Make sure if you're watching the show on YouTube, you give us a thumbs up. Or if you're just listening to the podcast on the audio version, give us a rating, rate our show, give us some comments on the show, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be. We will be back on Wednesday with another episode of Big Drive Energy. Have a great Monday. Peace.